My wife came home in a dress I'd never seen. She laughed in my face and told me she was going on a date. "Try not to be too jealous," she said with that cold little smile. I should have exploded right then. Instead, I said something that made her freeze. What happened next changed everything, not just for us, but for people I'd never even met. Some secrets are bigger than a marriage. Some lies destroy more than hearts. My name is Francis Donahue. I'm 44. For the last 15 years, I ran Deep Blue Adventures, a dive center on the North Carolina coast. I built it from nothing after my Navy days. I taught people to explore the underwater world while Gloria managed the books. 22 years. Partnership, trust, love, or so I thought. That Tuesday evening changed all of that. I was cleaning my dive gear in the garage when I heard heels clicking across the kitchen floor. Unusual, because she usually wore sneakers at home. When I walked in, Gloria was at the mirror, adjusting a black figure-hugging dress I'd never seen. Definitely not the kind of thing she wore to book club. "Going somewhere special?" I asked, wiping my hands on a towel. She turned. The smile wasn't the warm one I'd fallen in love with. It was colder, sharper, it cut right through me. "I'm going on a date tonight," she said like she was talking about the weather. "Try not to be too jealous, Francis." The words hit me like a rogue wave. She laughed at my stunned face, not nervous, not apologetic, pure amusement. She grabbed her purse, checked her reflection, and said, "Don't wait up." I wanted to ask who, where, why, how long. Instead, I heard myself say something I hadn't planned. "Enjoy explaining that to your sister tomorrow." Her confidence faltered for a heartbeat. Then she left. After she drove away, I sat in my recliner, staring at the wall. 22 years of marriage, and she announced she was cheating like she was heading to the gym. The worst part wasn't the betrayal. It was how easy it all seemed for her, how little our years meant. I poured a bourbon and tried to be methodical. Panic underwater kills you. Stay calm. Assess. Make a plan. Same rules apply on land. By morning, I knew what I had to do. Gloria acted like nothing had happened. She hummed while making coffee, asked about the weather, kissed my cheek before I left for the dive center. If I hadn't seen her in that dress the night before, I might have thought I'd imagined everything. But I'm a methodical man, Navy, and running a business teaches you to document things. First stop, our joint bank account. Gloria handled the finances. Turns out she was good at hiding things, too. 3 cash withdrawals in the past month, $300 each. Credit card charges at restaurants I'd never been to. A hotel charge in Wilmington. One entry read, "Intimate Apparel Boutique." Seeing those receipts felt like nitrogen narcosis, a dangerous, dizzying clarity. I called the bank and requested 6 months of statements. Then I drove to the Wilmington Hotel. The front desk clerk, a young woman named Jennifer, recognized Gloria's photo right away. "Oh, Mrs. Donahue," she said. "She's been here several times with her friend Marcus." The name hit me like a depth charge. Marcus Webb had been my dive student 3 years earlier, a real estate agent in his 40s. Recently divorced, always hitting on women. I'd banned him from the dive center after catching him taking photos of customers in wetsuits. Now he was taking photos of my wife in hotel rooms. I pulled an old Navy contact. Tommy Rodriguez now worked for a private investigation firm in Charlotte. We'd saved each other's lives in the Persian Gulf, so he owed me a favor. I told him everything. The date, the hotel, Marcus Webb. Tommy listened and then gave me the best advice I ever got. "Don't confront her yet," he said. "Cheaters panic. They destroy evidence and run. You need documentation, photos, recordings, financial records. Build your case first." That evening, I installed a small camera in the living room. Not to spy, but to protect myself. If she was going to destroy our marriage, she wasn't going to destroy my reputation too. When she came home late again, claiming book club ran long, I just nodded and asked how the discussion went. She lied without meeting my eyes. We talked about betrayal and relationships. I kissed her goodnight and lay awake, planning my next move. Tommy moved fast. By Friday, he'd uncovered something that made my blood run cold. Gloria hadn't just been cheating. She'd been systematically draining our assets. She'd taken out a second mortgage on the dive center, $200,000, using forged documents bearing my signature. The money had been transferred to an offshore account. They were planning to disappear. That night, Gloria came home with shopping bags from expensive stores. New luggage, designer clothes, jewelry I couldn't afford on her legitimate income. The woman who used to clip coupons was spending like water. I stared and kept my voice steady. "Special occasion?" I asked. She shrugged. "A woman deserves nice things," she said. "You've been so focused on your little diving business. You forgot I have needs too." Tommy's words echoed in my head. Build the case. I called Robertson Chin, an attorney and an old Navy buddy. He didn't hesitate. "This is fraud. Criminal fraud. Freeze your assets. Call the authorities." By Sunday, we had emergency court orders freezing our accounts and blocking further transfers. I also called Gloria's mother, Elizabeth. She had no idea what was happening. She told me Gloria had mentioned moving to Florida with a new friend and had asked her to wire $10,000 for a supposed business opportunity. I told Elizabeth everything. She cried, and then she chose to help. That's when my plan took shape. Tommy called Monday with more news. Gloria had been meeting privately with Detective Ray Morrison from Wilmington PD. Morrison had a reputation, rumors of evidence disappearing, cases dropped for the right price. Tommy thought Gloria had been paying for protection. If I'd gone to local police first, the case could have disappeared. Tommy said, "We go federal. Cross-state wire transfers and offshore accounts mean FBI jurisdiction." I met with FBI agent Sarah Martinez in a coffee shop an hour outside town. I laid out the forged mortgages, the transfers, Morrison's name. Marcus Webb. Agent Martinez listened, took notes, and then told me what I already feared. This wasn't just a personal affair. Marcus Webb and Detective Morrison were part of a larger real estate fraud and money laundering operation. Gloria and Marcus had been the missing pieces of a much bigger puzzle. Agent Martinez asked me to act normal for a few more days. I nodded. "What happens to Gloria?" "It depends on how cooperative she'd be." The next week, she announced a spa weekend with girlfriends, leaving Thursday and returning Sunday. I let her go. I watched her pack new luggage and documents she thought I hadn't noticed. Bank numbers, flight confirmations, even a fake passport. She drove away thinking she was escaping. Instead, she was driving into a federal investigation when her car disappeared around the corner. I called Agent Martinez. "She's moving," I said. "Now's the time." They intercepted communications between Gloria and Marcus. They planned to meet that night at Ocean View Restaurant on Harbor Street, 3 blocks from Elizabeth's house. I called Elizabeth and told her the plan. She played her part perfectly. She called Gloria, asked her to dinner, and pretended she was worried about chest pains. Gloria came, expecting a family crisis. Instead, she found me at the table with her mother, her brother Michael, and his wife. I had a stack of manila envelopes and the calm I'd kept all week. When I placed the envelopes on the table, Gloria's confident smile evaporated. "Explain this," I said quietly. Michael opened his envelope and gasped. Bank records. Loan documents. The second mortgage. Forged signatures. The color drained from her face. Agent Martinez stepped into the restaurant and announced, "Gloria Donahue, you're under arrest for bank fraud, forgery, and conspiracy." Handcuffs clicked. For the first time, she looked at me like maybe the woman I'd married. That Saturday, the operation began to unravel. Agent Martinez called. They'd arrested 6 people in the network, including Detective Morrison. Gloria's cooperation helped locate offshore accounts and identify other victims. Marcus Webb's network had targeted small business owners across the Southeast for years. 23 families were affected so far. Then came a bombshell. Marcus had been planning to make Francis's death look like a diving accident. He'd bought equipment to sabotage my gear. If I hadn't discovered the affair when I did, I might have been dead within days. I felt sick. Elizabeth grabbed my hand and told me she was sorry. She'd raised Gloria to do right by family. Somewhere along the way, something snapped. In the county jail, Gloria told me she'd never agreed to the murder plot, She said Marcus had threatened both of them if she betrayed him. I was scared, she said. I thought if you divorced me, Marcus would leave you alone. She said she wanted to cooperate. The prosecutor told her it could mean a reduced sentence if she testified. She chose to help. The FBI recovered most of the money. Offshore accounts were frozen. The forged mortgage was voided. My dive center remained mine. For the first time in months, I could breathe. 3 months later, I stood on the deck of my boat at sunrise. Deep Blue Adventures was operating again. Bookings were stronger than before the scandal. People wanted to dive with someone who'd been tested and come out honest. Elizabeth moved into Gloria's old office to help manage bookings and customer relations. She became an unexpected pillar of support. Together, we began thinking bigger: victim advocacy, financial crime consultation, partnering with law enforcement on underwater investigations. Rebecca Martinez, Agent Martinez's sister, approached me about organizing support for victims. 23 families had been devastated. They needed a way forward. I started speaking at support meetings. Men who'd lost businesses, houses, college funds. The FBI recovered about 70% of stolen assets in many cases. I told them what I'd learned. You don't start with trust. You start with verification. You build trust slowly with people who earn it. 6 months after the arrests, Captain Jennifer Walsh from the Coast Guard Investigative Service called. Marcus's network hadn't only stolen money. They'd used dive operations to smuggle drugs through coastal waters, hiding packages on dive sites, later retrieving them. She needed local knowledge. I helped. Over 3 weeks, we discovered 17 hidden caches: cocaine, heroin, illegal weapons. We found Marcus's diving logs in a waterproof container detailing 5 years of smuggling and corrupt officials. The irony was sharp. The skills Marcus had tried to exploit were the same skills that exposed his crimes. The local paper ran a feature. Local dive instructor helps Coast Guard bust multi-state drug ring. Bookings doubled overnight. More importantly, I'd found a purpose bigger than myself. A year after Gloria's arrest, I watched her receive her sentence: 15 years for fraud, conspiracy, and racketeering. Marcus Webb got life without parole for murder, conspiracy, and drug trafficking. Detective Morrison got 25 years for corruption. Elizabeth sat beside me in court. She'd chosen justice over blood loyalty. I felt neither forgiveness nor hatred. I felt closure. We rebuilt. Deep Blue Adventures grew: 3 boats, 8 instructors. Contracts with the Coast Guard and the FBI. Elizabeth completed police academy training and advanced dive certifications. We launched a fellowship program offering free diving lessons and mentorship to victims of financial crime. We turned instruments of crime into artificial reefs, habitats for marine life. It felt like poetic justice. 2 years later, I stood on the deck of our newest boat, the Truth Seeker, watching a new student check her gear. Amanda Wells was a marine biologist who'd lost research funding to a romance scammer. She joined our program as part of her healing. Underwater, she found peace. On land, she found a community. The work didn't erase what happened, but it turned destruction into something useful. It gave victims tools to rebuild. It let me use the skills I'd spent a lifetime learning to protect others. If there's a lesson here, it's this: betrayal can shatter you, or it can teach you what you're truly capable of. Trust, like diving, requires courage and preparation. When you find the right people and the right purpose, the depths become a place of discovery, not danger. I'm Francis Donahue. This is how I rebuilt.